LEGO has many themes over the years, from Bionicle to Hero Factory. But one forgotten theme that I want to discuss in this video is actually LEGO Knights Kingdom. A uniquely original theme with a medieval and castle setting type of scenario. LEGO had already attempted a medieval theme before, but never with a story and actual consistent aesthetic and theme across the entire line. Regardless though, in this video, let's get into this lost and forgotten LEGO theme, LEGO Knights Kingdom. Believe it or not, before the Knights Kingdom that most people actually remember this line from, there was a previous Knights Kingdom, LEGO Knights Kingdom 1, which was a short-lived medieval theme. Basically, the whole story of this theme is that the Blue Knights, led by King Leo, have to defend themselves against the evil and bullish army commanded by Cedric the Bull. Yeah, it's not exactly a hugely complex story, but it gets the job done. Many of the sets included this line include King Leo and his royal family and forces living in European-style castles, while Cedric forces living in the evil Dark Forest, which is actually funny. There was a previous line that the Dark Forest actually was inspired by. Overall, LEGO Knights Kingdom 1 is honestly a pretty cool theme, but definitely needed a little bit of work. For one thing, I do love the minifigures a lot, with a lot of them being detailed and also pretty accurate for the time, and also some very highly detailed figures to say the least. And some of the system sets include this theme I also love. For example, you got this amazing crossbow launcher that the Cedric forces have, but you also have this amazing flamethrower, which is great, maybe more accurate, maybe not, but regardless, such a fun addition to the sets. And of course, the big centerpiece of this entire line is of course King Leo's castle, which is absolutely amazing. I love the European influence, and overall just fits with the whole aesthetic of the line. It overall is a great build. If I had any huge qualms with this line though, I would say that it suffers from an issue where LEGO was trying to juniorize their sets, which basically means more big pieces and less building and more creative system elements. Ugh, yikes. Regardless though, still an overall pretty decent theme for LEGO. Definitely needed some work and less juniorization of the parts, but regardless, a pretty cool theme. LEGO's Knights Kingdom 1 was actually a huge success, and despite the line only running for 1 year and LEGO canceling it, it was a huge massive success, so plans for a sequel line were already being prepared and in the works. And eventually all these plans would come together in 2004 with the release of LEGO's Knights Kingdom 2. Yeah, despite the 2 in the title, this LEGO Knights Kingdom theme actually has nothing to do with the previous LEGO Knights Kingdom theme, which is kind of annoying. It's more of a spiritual reboot, which overall is a pretty dumb continuity error. Honestly, if I had to fix it, I would have just called it Knights of Morcia or something like that. Regardless though, LEGO Knights Kingdom 2 is a pretty big improvement from the last theme, by having more story and war and taking much more inspiration from Bionicle. Also having a general aesthetic, more unique sets, also trading cards, and Rainbow Knights. What? The theme would usually last 3 years, and believe it or not, had a lot of story and lore to it, so let's get into it. The first year's story is actually set in this mystical land of Morcia. The evil Vladik, assisted to the king, overthrows the king Matthias, and the king recruits 4 knights, each with powers of specific animals. Jaco, the rookie, Danju, the wise veteran, Santis, the strong, and Rakus, the joker. He sends them all on a quest to grab the heart of the Shield of Ages at the Citadel, which they do and also return with the king and defeat Vladik, and the kingdom is saved. I think this theme for LEGO is honestly just pretty underrated and honestly pretty cool. Honestly, many story-driven LEGO themes have honestly been thrown under the rug, and I think this is especially true during this time period. This is mainly because LEGO just didn't know how to do themes like this back in the day. So instead of just making a TV show and making all the lore centralized, they decided to make comics, books, and so many other cross-media approach. That honestly makes things confusing for everyone, like they did with Bionicle. Regardless though, I do like the story that's actually here, a simple medieval tale with good guys and bad guys and an ultimate quest to save the kingdom. It's pretty good, if not a little generic. The theme included system sets and also what most people remember, the Technic Figures. This year's system sets are honestly great, less juniorization elements and more detailed builds. The Castle of Morcia being amazing in particular, a great European style castle with many features, even the ability to switch frags and also decide to show that Vladik took over. It's a great feature on the playset. Even though, yes, I have to mention it, but it could have been way cooler. I mean, look at this. Also, another system set they made was the Citadel of Orwin, which is basically maybe my favorite system set in this wave. feature many gimmicks showing the knight's struggle to get the shield, and overall just a great theme and great aesthetic, and overall just pretty great system sets. And all the minifigures that came with the system sets are also all pretty great, except Vladik. Like, come on, they really made him look stupid in this line. But let's not kid ourselves though. Usually the figures, of course, are the most remembered part of this line, featuring really great marketing and also great comic books to go alongside with this. The first wave of Technic figures are admittedly cool in my opinion, being Technic like Bionicle figures, but also with weirdly a lot more system elements, like for example pieces to put on the front of the armor and such, but also features that include gears on the back to usually move the figure's arm and also have some kind of gimmick to go alongside with it, which is overall pretty great but also feels a little bit less Technic and system in my opinion. Overall though, I do like the figures, and I also do like the multicolored knights in my opinion. Overall pretty decent figures, if not could have used some more improvements to say the least. And they also will release some pretty sick illustrations and comics to explain the story, and there was also that Game Boy Advance game that you can also get, but I never played. Overall, a pretty solid first year for the theme. In 2005, Year 2's story begins with Vladik escaping after the events of the first year and getting the mysterious magical Vlad mask. He eventually conquers the neighboring kingdom of Ankoma and decides to declare war on Morsia. Ultimately though, Jaco and his knights defeat him, destroying the mask, even with Jaco at the end of the story becoming king. I think this year's story is still pretty cool and overall pretty grand in finale, albeit a little bit darker, but regardless though, still ending pretty similar to the first one with the good guys winning. This year's of system and Technic sets are also pretty cool as well. For example, let's get started with the new set of Technic figures that came out. Once again, they have the 4 knights again, but once again have more armor on them, and also torsos with the animal powers and logos showing, and also have more features this time around. The story reason for all this is basically that the new armor protects against the magic of the Vlad mask apparently. This time around though, the figures have 2 gears on the back of them, which each figure having different movements according to their character, and overall this is a pretty decent gimmick. Honestly though, I can't help with looking at these figures and think to myself they're feeling less and less Lego to me, featuring less system ports to put figures and system pieces on the figures, but also you can't even open them and just have it in a solid mode. At this point, it's just basically a Lego normal action figure, which is a little bit lame and feels less Lego. But I gotta say though that the Vlad mask is also amazing. Love the look. The system sets this year have a darker feel as well, with creepier backgrounds, and also much more Vlad sets this time around, which is overall just pretty great. Many of the sets having the dark aesthetic of black bricks with red outline bricks. It overall looks great, with many of my personal favorites, Dark Fortress Landing, and also the amazing Scorpion Prison. I mean, look at this Scorpion, dude. And even the minifigures still hold up, and they even improved Vladik this time around. Overall, a really solid year still. 2006 this time around, the story takes place some time later, with Jaco, now the king, training new knights, Sir Edric and Sir Kentis. They eventually gather pieces of the Vlad mask and create the Shield of Ages, and then invade and finally face Vladik to once and for all destroy him and finish the war. But Vladik isn't going down without a fight, and this time around has 2 evil knights, Kazon and Dragus, and also an army of rogue knights to defend him. Eventually though, Jaco and his knights eventually defeat the evil knights and trap Vladik in the magical crystal ball, finally ending the story of Knight's Kingdom. This year honestly feels kind of underwhelming. For one thing, the story just feels like an epilogue, not really a final conclusion that nobody asked for. I mean, it's a fine story and I absolutely love the evil knights concept, but yeah, it's a decent story overall, I guess. This year's Technic figures also look pretty cool, with Vladik looking great still, and also many of the figures coming with launchers that are scaled to the figures, and honestly look great with them. I also absolutely love the Evil Knights design, with many colors that LEGO honestly should use more. And overall, the new weapons with these knights also add variety. Instead of just having all swords, they also have axes and other things. Honestly, brings more variety to the line, and overall pretty decent solid figures. The system builds are honestly less exciting this time. For one thing, the Rogue Knights Battleship is in particular the best thing about this line. I love the dragon theme of it, and overall though, it looks great, but the rest of the line is really not that amazing. Once again, there's not really any big sets included in this year, and overall there's just a lackluster amount of them, and the aesthetic just seems a little bit dried out. I mean, look at the new Rogue Knights. I mean, what's with the yellow? Is that part of their uniform? Are they literally almost naked? It just looks really strange. And this is ultimately the big issue with LEGO, and LEGO does this a lot, where the first 2 years of their new theme they put everything into it, and in the last year they just sort of fizzle out with lazy sets, or even not even complete the entire entire year. It's a serious issue overall. Regardless though, it's not a great year and definitely the line could have ended better, but regardless though, LEGO Knights Kingdom 2006 wave honestly is pretty decent still. Overall, LEGO Knights Kingdom was an underrated theme with many cool Technic figures, a decent, promising, and interesting story, and some of the most amazing sets LEGO ever made. It isn't perfect, and I think that there was cons. For one thing, I think that the theme definitely needed some kind of TV show to mainly have a more broad appeal to it, and also maybe having more LEGO elements and systematic elements added to the Technic figures. Regardless though, I think that LEGO Knights Kingdom isn't a horrible LEGO theme, and actually not a great one either, but still a very solid and underrated theme in LEGO's history. And overall, I really like it. Hopefully this video inspires you to look into it a little bit more, and overall, that's the video. Hope you all like it, and have a good day. See ya.